To replace the Power PCB, the first thing we need to do is power off the chair, then unplug it. Next, we need to open the levers on the inline connector and remove the wiring from both sides. If you're working on the chair that's connected to a kiosk system, remove the kiosk cable harness from the cable guide, as well as the cable from the main PCB. Next, we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 3 screws that secure the rear shroud to the chair. Then we can slide the shroud backward and then tip it over, resting it on the floor next to the chair. Okay, next we'll use the Phillips head screwdriver again to remove the 3 screws that secure the PCB cover. And we can remove that cover. You'll need to pull it firmly at the rear as there are tabs installed over slots that have a rather secure connection. Okay, now we can disconnect all of the connectors from the Power PCB and then use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 4 screws that secure the PCB to the chair. And we can remove the PCB from the chair. Okay, we can slide the new PCB into position underneath the cabling. Aligning the screw holes with the screw holes on the tray. Then we can replace the 4 screws to secure the PCB to the tray. And then we can reconnect the connectors to the new PCB. Okay, now we're ready to replace the PCB cover. Note the tabs in the rear of the PCB area. You need to install the slots on the PCB tray over those tabs and push down firmly to secure it. Use your hands to make sure that the slots are installed successfully over those tabs. The screw holes will then be aligned, and you can replace the 3 screws to secure the cover. Okay, next we need to remove the 9 screws that secure the plastic panel to the underside of the shroud. Then we can twist the ends of that remotely controlled system cable and feed it through the hole we drilled in the rear of the shroud. Next, we're going to install a zip tie temporarily on the casing, just on the outside of the shroud, just to keep that wiring from falling back into the shroud while we're reinstalling the shroud on the chair. Okay, then we can replace that black plastic panel and the 9 screws to secure it. Okay, then we can flip that shroud back over carefully into position, putting as little strain on that cable as possible, and slide it into position. Now it's important that the edges of the shroud are installed between the black plastic side panels and the guides. In this case, it is not, so you can see he had to move the shroud over to the outside of the guide, so it's installed between the guide and the side panel. Okay, once the shroud's installed properly, we can replace the 3 screws to secure it. Then we can use a wire cutter to cut that temporary zip tie carefully off of the cable. Twist the ends of each wire, and then we'll install the wiring into the inline connector. Again, if your chair is connected to a kiosk system, we need to put the wires in the same location they were previously, with the positive on the right and the negative on the left, or the blue wire on the right and the green wire on the left. Once the wiring's inserted all the way, you can close the orange levers to secure it. If you're working on a chair connected to a kiosk system, you can install that kiosk harness into the cable guide. And then we'll install the wiring into the inline connector, regardless of which system you're using. In the case of a kiosk system, again, the positive wire needs to be on the right and the negative on the left. Okay, then we can plug in the chair, power it on, and we're done.